The cause of death in the case of Boston police officer John O'Keefe remains a central point of contention in the ongoing trial of Karen Reed. The prosecution asserts that Reed intentionally struck O'Keefe with her SUV and left him to die in the snow during a blizzard on January 29, 2022. Conversely, the defense argues that O'Keefe was beaten inside the house party and left outside, and that Reed is being framed in a broader cover-up. The first autopsy was conducted on January 31st by Dr. Irini Scordi-Bello, medical examiner. The examiner found the cause of death to be primarily blunt impact injuries to the head, notably a depressed skull fracture causing brain hemorrhaging. Contributing factor was hypothermia due to O'Keefe being exposed to cold temperatures after the injury. She did not classify the death as a homicide, citing lack of full information about the circumstances. She did find superficial dog bite marks and defensive wounds, but concluded these were not fatal. Dr. Scordi-Bello's report aligns with the prosecution's theory that O'Keefe was struck by Reed's vehicle, suffered head trauma, and was then left outside in the snow. Months later, a second autopsy was conducted by Dr. Michael Trent, a defense expert. His findings suggested O'Keefe died inside the home, not outside. He argued that the fatal injuries might have occurred indoors and that O'Keefe's body was dragged outside into the cold after death. He questioned whether blunt force trauma alone caused death and raised the possibility of other contributing factors or post-mortem movement. He emphasized that hypothermia was unlikely the primary cause, but could have been a factor if death occurred outside. Dr. Trent's conclusions support the defense's argument that the prosecution's timeline and location of death are uncertain. Both doctors agreed that blunt impact injuries to the head were present and significant. They both acknowledged the presence of hypothermia as a factor, though its role as a primary cause was debated. They both identified superficial dog bite marks and defensive wounds, but neither attributed fatality to these. Their differing conclusions on the location and timing of death were central to debates over Karen Reed's culpability. Dr. Helen Carter's involvement came amid the controversy and conflicting conclusions between the first and second autopsies. Dr. Helen Carter is a senior forensic pathologist who was brought in to review and provide a third opinion on John O'Keefe's autopsy findings. She conducted an independent review of the autopsy reports, medical records, and forensic evidence collected from the scene. She was tasked with assessing the validity of the initial findings and the alternative interpretations presented by Dr. Trent. Dr. Carter largely agreed with the primary findings of blunt impact injuries to the head as the critical cause of death. However, she emphasized the importance of timing and context of injuries, noting that some trauma could have occurred prior to the fatal incident. She provided expert insight into the role of hypothermia, agreeing it was a contributing factor but not the sole cause. Dr. Carter also reviewed the forensic evidence regarding the location of death, suggesting that while outdoor exposure contributed, there was insufficient conclusive evidence to rule out injury occurring indoors. Her review was cited by both prosecution and defense to support differing parts of their cases, making her testimony pivotal in highlighting the complexities of the medical evidence. She helped clarify areas of agreement and disagreement among the medical experts, assisting the jury in understanding the nuances of the cause and the circumstances of death. The disputed cause of death in this case revolves around conflicting interpretations of forensic evidence, expert testimony, and investigative practices. The prosecution maintains that Reed intentionally struck O'Keefe with her SUV, while the defense argues that O'Keefe was beaten and left outside and that Reed is being unjustly blamed. As the trial progresses, these differing narratives continue to shape the legal proceedings and public perception of the case.